Hi Gemini, welcome to my channel. This is going to be your you and them spread for July 27th through August 3rd. Please like and share and subscribe and all that awesome stuff. I love the comments. I love the comments. So thank you so much for sharing your stories here. And if this doesn't resonate with you, please be sure to check your moon and rising sign, and then your Venus sign and the other person's Mars sign. Please keep in mind too that this is the general reading, and there's just no way for me to, to bring in all of the energy for everybody that's watching. But there are specific messages here for a lot of people, so that I feel like are specific to their situations too. So definitely check out those other videos to see if those resonate as well. And if this doesn't resonate with you, then it's not for you. And so you can just take what works and leave the rest of it here. If you would like a personal reading from me, my email address is in the description. It's elisemarietarot88@gmail.com, and Elise is spelled Eliise, and it's $20 for 20-minute reading or up to 3 questions, and then $30 for a 30-minute reading. But really the 30-minute readings just go till I stop receiving the messages for you. So it's usually 30 minutes to an hour. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it. The first card that I pulled for you is the Four of Pentacles. So with this Four of Pentacles, I feel like there is a sense of needing to guard something. It's kind of like a clinging energy, but it's not clinging to a person. It's clinging to something about like either your freedom or your way of doing things, like clinging to your right to be a specific way, or to handle things a specific way, or even to think in a specific way. I feel like for some of you there's been this conflict going on about like almost like you're being told, it's not the way that you think it is. Like you always think it's this way, or you're always listening to somebody else and it's not the way that you think it is. Something like that. Or it could be something where you're being treated like you don't have a right to feel a certain way, or that you don't have a right to some sort of basic, individual right that you feel like you do have, like a right to freedom or a right to privacy or a right, something along those lines. So I'm definitely picking up that for some of you, you're feeling the need to cling to, your rights, or cling to your, like just your individual choice to be able to feel a certain way. And then also for some of you, it could be that you are you're pulling back, you're drawing back and drawing in a little bit and coming closer to yourself, or closing off to the other person a little bit because of something. It could be that you're feeling the need to guard yourself, and so something has gone down where you felt the need to kind of come into yourself a little bit, or protect yourself, or guard, like I said, your freedom or something like that. So that's kind of the energy that I'm getting off of the Four of Pentacles. And the next card that I have is the Judgment card for you. So you could be dealing with an earth sign. You could be dealing with another air sign. The Judgment, one of the things that I love about the Judgment is that in this particular reading, I feel like it is saying along the lines of paying attention to what you can take with you and what you can't take with you. So I feel like it's kind of a sense of recognizing that we spend a lot of time and energy on things that ultimately, like on your deathbed or at the end of your life, or ultimately in the long run, aren't going to matter. These temporal things of that you can't take with you: your home, your cars, your clothes, the mask that you wear for the world to show them how successful you are, or how together you have things. All of those material things, you can't take them with you. So it's like the Judgment is calling you to, that could be why you're guarding something too, is the Judgment is calling in your right, or your need to pay attention to what is more important to you than material things, or what is important to you about yourself as an individual. It could be that it's calling for you to pay attention to the bigger picture on a spiritual level rather than on this earthly level, or rather than on a material level. I also feel like with this Judgment, it's calling on the carpet for you to take a good hard look at yourself too. I feel like this Judgment is here, and it's not necessarily a negative thing. It's not saying that you're falling short or that you're not, doing the correct thing, but it's kind of a self-reflection and self-evaluation to make sure that you are putting out good into the world, or that you are not spending your time being highly judgmental of others, because this Judgment comes full circle around to you. And she's no respecter of persons. The Judgment doesn't care who you are. You could be the president, you could be, well, maybe not the president, you could be somebody of high standing, and she's not gonna, it's not gonna matter who you are, because that Judgment will ultimately come. So I feel like with this particular Judgment card, it's calling you to recognize what is ultimately the most important to you, and to kind of let go of the rest of that. Like, if it's a battle worth fighting, fight the battle. If it's not a battle worth fighting, though, pick your battles, because you're gonna be drawing in negative karma if you're wasting your time on things that really ultimately are not important in the bigger picture, or are not as important as other things that you should be spending your energy on. And the next card that I have for you is the Four of Wands. So I feel like with this spread here, it's calling you to four represents stability. So it's calling you, you've got this clinging energy here, but it's kind of calling you to pay attention to what is the bigger picture, what is more important, and your ultimate happiness. And so it's saying basically, like, you need to be willing to loosen the reins or release something that is kind of almost a crutch that you've been holding on to, or kind of like something that is your coping mechanism or defense mechanism. And Judgment is calling you to look at the bigger picture on that and see if it's something that really can be released, because it's blocking this elevation. It's blocking moving to the next level. It's blocking your ability to be able to progress. And so I feel like that for some of you, that's what is kind of going on in your particular situation. So then let's go to the other person. And the first card that the other person has is the Seven of Swords card. This particular card is a sneaky kind of energy, or somebody who is, and it could be that they're almost like they're checking up on you. It could be that somebody, and that could be why you feel the need to guard your freedom. That makes perfect sense now that we're looking at it. It could be somebody has hacked into your phone, or not hacked, but gotten into your phone and gone through your phone, or gone through your emails, or gone through your Facebook, or something stalker-y almost, or something that is just riddled with distrust has taken place, and this person kind of had to sneak around to be able to do it, to gather the information that they were looking for, or whatever their intention was. And it may be that it may be that it was warranted, but they did it in kind of a sneaky way, or in a way that left you feeling like you needed to guard yourself from this, because it could have been a situation where it's something like they misinterpreted something, or they made it out to be worse than it was in your mind. So I feel like that with this Seven of Swords here, I don't feel like it's so much somebody lying to you as I do is somebody who had to sneak around to kind of gather some information. You know how, that old saying that, a pissed off woman is more, she's able to investigate more than the FBI. That's kind of what I'm getting off of this card. I mean, it could be male or female. I'm just saying that somebody was spending their time to do some digging. That's what I'm getting off of that card. There's some digging going on. And if you dig, a lot of the time you find. So I feel like that's kind of what this card is saying. The next card that I have for them is the Page of Cups. So I feel like they're kind of handling things in an immature way right now. Or that it could be that they don't know it could be that since they feel like you're being sneaky, they're drawing back their messages of love and stuff. I mean, it's still here, but it may have been, I get the feeling that this has been a demotion kind of in their expressions of love or in their openness with you as far as their emotions and feelings. I feel like they're kind of, it may have been that they were at the king or the queen level and they've come down to a page level because they feel like, they can't fully trust you, or that there's something that just ain't right about it. So that's kind of the energy that I'm getting on this side, is that they're feeling like they need to also guard themselves, but it's somebody who is invested. It's somebody who is invested in the relationship and does have genuine feelings, or does have genuine, sees genuine potential. But this excuse me, sneaky energy is them being sneaky is kind of thwarting their ability to feel how they normally would be feeling for you. And then this next card that I have for you is the Temperance card. And so it could be that you're dealing with a Sagittarius. It could be that you're dealing with another air sign. I mean, it could be any sign. You don't pay too much attention to the signs that I see, because it's somebody who is embodying this energy. But I do, there's some water signs, there's earth here too, but it's fire is pretty strong here and air is pretty strong here. But with the Temperance, I feel like this is a situation where this person is really going to have to work on finding a gentle balance for themselves. I feel like they've gotten themselves kind of tied up into like I don't know how to say it other than this, but like, don't get your panties in a twist. I kind of feel like they're getting themselves wound up. They're winding up really, at an accelerated rate, and they really have a need to bring this back into balance and to, I know you can't see it really in the card here, but she's got a cup up here of fire, and there's water flowing from the cup of fire to this cup of water. So it's kind of like being able to tame this high level of energy down into a steadier energy that is like deeper, that the water will run deeper. Now, the fire is all about the action, and the water is all about the emotions. So she's finding this balance between them. So none of this water that's going from here to there, or none of the element itself is dripping or falling down. It's just flowing. And so I feel like for the other party, it's a matter of they're going to have to do some, you may have to let them too do some internal work on it to be able to balance it out, because it could be that this person is highly emotional over a perceived wrong or a legit wrong. I mean, you could have wronged them and they're highly emotional about it, but in order to move forward together, they need to be able to come back into balance. And like with this Judgment card too, it's going to be calling them to be responsible for their own reactions or for their own part in the whatever has taken place or whatever kind of conflict is going on. They're going to be called to take responsibility for that, and then they're going to have to be able to, it's kind of long-suffering or endurance, I feel like. And I don't mean long-suffering in like actual suffering, but it's an endurance type of a situation where they need to find the balance, and they need to be able to maintain that balance, because it could be that you deal with somebody who's kind of swinging on this pendulum back and forth, and that's just not good for anybody. It's not good for them, and it's not good for you, because there's no reason, there's no reason for it. You could strike a balance and be able to stay in that balanced place, and then the reactions don't have to be so dramatic. So I feel like that's kind of what the message is here, is that there is, for you, it's keeping in mind the bigger picture or what your end goal is. And this end game here with the Four of Wands is building the foundations for a home. It's going to be, it could be something that's what you want. You want to be able to find something that draws you enough to want to build a foundation for a home. But in order to get to that point, and you can't control anything that the other person does. They need to be able to balance things in their own lives and in their own emotions and their own reactions, because, it could be that you just have very different ways of communicating and very different ways of coping. And so it could be that it's kind of like culture shock between the two of you. You don't really know what to make of the other person sometimes, because you're just like, WTF, what just happened? I have no idea. So I feel like that's kind of what it's saying here, is that it may be a little bit of a waiting game or an endurance game for you to give them the time to be able to figure out how to balance those things. And the central card here is the Three of Pentacles. So it's definitely calling for a teamwork. It's definitely calling for almost like a teacher and student type of relationship. It's kind of like one of you is much better at this particular aspect of balancing or controlling their emotions, and the other one has a harder time with it. And it could be either or, but in this particular dynamic here, it's calling for teamwork to be able to balance both parties. That way they can both be on the same wavelength. Because once you get on the same wavelength, I feel like there's a whole lot of potential for some really great things. But being on a different wavelength right now is thwarting that energy. So let me go ahead and clarify this Three of Pentacles real quick. Please clarify the Three of Pentacles for Gemini and their love interest from July 27th, 2017 to August 3rd, 2017. Please clarify this Three of Pentacles card for Gemini, for them and their love interest, July 27th, 2017 to August 3rd, 2017. What is this Three of Pentacles about? Please clarify the Three of Pentacles for Gemini and their love interest for July 27, 2017 to August 3rd, 2017. Okay. Okay, so the Seven of Wands. So I feel like in this particular dynamic here with the Three of Pentacles calling for teamwork, the Seven of Wands is saying that you are going to have to stand up for what it is that you think would benefit the relationship, or what it is that you believe to be the teamwork that's needed between the two of you. It's telling you to stand your ground here. There is going to be a little bit of contention on it. It could be a dynamic where they feel like you're trying to control them, or that you are trying to tell them what to do, like you're not my mommy, you're not my daddy kind of a thing. But I feel like the Seven of Wands is telling you to stand your ground on it. And again, with the long suffering, like you might have to stand your ground, because this person isn't quite there yet. They'll come to accept it. They'll come to get that they have, that's what it is. They will come to get that they have responsibility in this, that they have to take some accountability into the dynamic that's going on right now. If there is conflict going on right now or misunderstandings, they are going to have to take responsibility for their portion of it. That's what I feel like this teamwork is saying now that the Seven of Wands is here. It's saying that both parties have responsibility, but I get the feeling that they want to act like it's all you, or that they didn't have anything to do with it. So I feel like that's kind of where this Seven of Wands is saying to stand your ground on that, because you're not wrong. And they have, you have to be able to assert that they need to take responsibility for the dynamics in the relationship. Otherwise you're always going to end up being the one taking the blame for everything, and that's not fair. That's not what you want to do. So I definitely feel like that's what it's saying. And it's not saying that it's a lost cause or anything like that. It's just going to take a little bit of time, and there's going to take some endurance. It's going to depend on kind of how much you want it. So I feel like that's what's going on with y'all for the next week, and I will talk to you at the beginning of August.